So, welcome dear students to the second lecture in unit 3 of strategic management. In the last lecture, we had talked about the concept of strategic formulation, which is the second step in the strategic management process. And then from there, we had moved on to the levels of strategy which are formulated in an organization. And there we had discussed that strategies are formulated at 3 levels. The first is the overall company level, that is the corporate level. Then second is at the level of each and every business unit, so that is the business unit level. And then for different departments, according to their needs, according to their contribution to the business level strategy, different strategies are formulated by different departments, and these are known as functional strategies. From there, we had started discussing in detail about the corporate level strategies. And we had discussed that there are mainly 4 corporate level strategies as proposed by GLUEC. These are the expansion or growth, the second is stability, the third is retrenchment, and the fourth is a combination of all these 3. Then we had started with the corporate level strategies, and in that the first strategy being expansion on growth, and expansion and growth, in that we had discussed that when an organization is trying to do more or increase the level of its actions or operations than what it is presently doing, currently doing, then that is a strategy of expansion. Now, in that strategy of expansion, there are 6 strategies through which a business can go for or a company can go for expansion. Now, these 6 expansion strategies are expansion through concentration, expansion through diversification, expansion through integration, expansion through cooperation, expansion through internationalization, and expansion through digitalization. We have already discussed expansion through concentration, and in expansion through concentration we have discussed 3 sub strategies: market penetration, market development, and product development. I am sure you must be clear about these 3 strategies by now. Now, today we will start with the second set of expansion strategies, that is expansion through diversification. Now, diversification is a term which must be it is used very commonly. You must be aware of what diversification is or how diversification takes place. So, diversification means to branch out from what you are doing to a different terrain, to a different territory, that is diversification. So, the process of entry into a business which is new to an organization. What you were doing earlier, if you are doing more and more of it, then that is concentration, but when you are doing something which is little different from what you were doing earlier, then that is basically diversification. Now, what does diversification involve? It involves a substantial change in business definition, terms of business, customer function, customer groups, or alternate technologies. If you remember, in the last lecture I had told you that when a business is defined, then it is defined along 3 terms. First is customer function, second is customer groups, and the third is alternate technologies, right. So, when a business undergoes a change where there is lot of change, substantial change, there were little changes in the concentration strategy also, but when there is a huge amount of change in terms of either customer function, customer groups, or the methodology, the process which an organization is following in the business, then that is a diversification strategy which is in force. Now, These can be all three together, there can be a change in all these three together, there can be a change in only two, only one. So, that depends, but there is a substantial change. And third thing is, which is very important to note, it is risky. It is risky. Why? Because you are, as a business, entering into a product and a market which may be outside a firm's core competencies. So, many times, you know, diversification is very good because it is a strategy of expansion or growth, but it involves a little risk which is not probably there in concentration, because you are for doing more and more of what you are doing. But here, because you are going for substantial drastic changes, so that may be beyond your core competencies, or that may be beyond your strengths. So, time will tell whether you are successful when you are into a diversification strategy. But that does not mean that diversifications are not successful. Many companies have gone for successful diversifications, and yes, there are certain diversifications by companies which have failed also. So, when we are talking about expansion through diversification, then it includes two types of diversification. There are basically two types of diversification. The first is, as you can see, concentric diversification, and the second is the conglomerate diversification. Now, what do we mean by both these? Concentric diversification is also known as related diversification. Related diversification, as the name is suggesting, that the company moves into a different product or a different customer group, but it is not totally changed from the original, right. So, somewhere down the line they can coincide with each other. Say for example, you know, there is a tree, there is a main trunk, there are several branches. So, the branches are different from the trunk, but still they are somehow attached to the tree. So, similarly the concentric diversification also takes place. You must have studied the concept of concentric circles. What is the concept of concentric circles? That this is a circle, then this is a circle, then this is a circle. So, one after the other. Right. So, they are not totally apart from each other, yet they are different circles. So, concentric diversification, an organization requires or develops a new product or service that are closely related to the organization's existing range of products and services. As I just told you, that it will not be doing anything which is drastically different. Now, for example, a company which is into the manufacture of toothpaste also goes into the business of toothbrushes. Now, these are two totally different products. They will be manufactured using different processes also, and they will be they are two different products, but the customer need they satisfy will be similar, because they are both satisfying the need for caring for our teeth, cleaning our keeping our teeth clean. So, they are satisfying almost the same need, but the technology which is being used is totally different. So, that is a concentric or a related diversification. Or for example, Pepsi is into, basically it is into soft drinks, but it also is into the business of bottled mineral water, right, by the name of Aquafina. So, this water and the soft drink, carbonated soft drinks, they are totally different products, yet they satisfy a common need of the customer, that is to quench the thirst or to refresh a customer. So, in that case, this is a concentric diversification, this is a related diversification. Similarly, we can take the example of Apple producing the MacBook and the laptop and the iPad, the tablet which we call in common language, right. So, two different products, but somehow down the line they will be similar to each other. So, these are all examples of coincentric diversification. Now, the second type of diversification is known as conglomerate or unrelated diversification. As the name is suggesting, here the company is moving into a sector which is totally unrelated to its core business. What the company was doing earlier, it is now moving on to a different product or to a different service altogether, right. So, there is a drastic change in what the company was doing earlier. It is continuing with its earlier business, but now it has moved to a totally different terrain. So, example of a conglomerate diversification would be like if we take the example of very own ITC, Indian Tobacco Company, right. It is into such different businesses. It is into paper boards, stationery, it is into agribusiness, it is into hotels, right, FMCG products. So, lots of range of products or services it offers. They are totally unrelated to each other in terms of the customer groups, the customer needs, what a need which can be satisfied from an ITC or it sells by the name of paper craft. So, paper craft stationery cannot be satisfied by hotels and vice versa. Hotel the need for hotel cannot be satisfied by a stationery book. So, there it has gone for a conglomerate diversification or an unrelated diversification, and that is why at many places you must have seen that huge companies which are into several businesses are also known as conglomerates. We call them as conglomerates. Similarly, again an Indian company, Reliance group of companies. Now, they are also into diverse type of business. Reliance is almost into all businesses. It is into retail, it is into textiles, it is into petrochemicals, it is into media, television, entertainment, and then Infocom or telecommunications is there. So, it is into so many business. So, they are totally different from each other, right. Many of us may be using the Jio connection or the Jio SIM, but we may not be visiting a Reliance petrol pump, or we may not be using the petrol which is being produced by Reliance. So, different groups of customers, different types of technology which are being used to manufacture these products, and the needs of the customers which are being satisfied is also different. Similarly, if we take the example of one of the most respected companies of India, Tata Group of companies. In the last lecture also I had referred to Tata Group of companies, and again what different types of businesses it is into. It is into salt, it is into tea leaves, right. Then it is into hotels, it is into telecommunication, it is into aviation. So, it is into automobiles, heavy vehicles, light vehicles, commercial vehicles. So, it is into so many types of businesses. So, this is again a conglomerate type of diversification or an unrelated diversification which is into place. Now, there have been cases of an unrelated, as I said, diversification is risky, and there have been cases where unrelated diversification has proved to be a failure. It has produced zero results, it has harmed the company. For example, you must be aware of this very famous brand of bikes, especially boys must be very fond of it, Harley Davidson. Now, this company it also went for packaged water, and it failed. Totally different from it, there is this hard, tough, rough, stylish looking bike, and water so soft, so pure, and Harley Davidson is a very, very premium brand, whereas water even if you make it premium, then also it will not sell more than 50-100 rupees a bottle. So, there is a lot of difference. So, it went in for that, it failed. Similarly, Starbucks, very, very famous, and people like its products very much, people like the ambience of Starbucks outlets very much, but it went into the diversification, which was unrelated diversification, into furniture sector, and it failed. So many times what happens, because it is beyond the core competency of a company, so diversification, unrelated diversification can fail also in comparison to a related. That does not mean that related diversification will always be successful and unrelated diversification will always fail. It only means that there are chances of failure in an unrelated diversification, which is more than in case of related diversification. Then again, going back to this slide where we have 6 strategies of expansion, and we have discussed the first 2 strategies, expansion through concentration, expansion through diversification. Now the third type of strategy under expansion strategies is expansion through integration. Now when we are using the word integration, what do we mean? Integration means to sum, to combine. And what are we combining here? What are we doing here? In integration, we are combining one or more present operation of the business with no change in the customer groups. Now, the point which you have to focus on is there is no change in customer groups. So, the company is trying to combine one or more operation of the business. Current, it is into certain operations. There are, a business consists of several operations. You have to undertake several processes in the course of making a product or service available to the customer, and when you combine some of these or one or two of these processes together, then that is known as integration. But there is no change in the customer group. That means the customers you were catering to earlier will still be catered to, they will still remain your customers. There is no change in that. Now, how do you bring about integration then? How does it take place? Now, when we are talking about integration, then this combination can be done through a value chain. Now, what is value chain? If you have read this concept of Porter's value chain, this concept was given by Michael Porter, right? Very, very important and very, very famous concept of a value chain. Now, Porter said that in an organization, the various activities that take place to deliver a final product or service to the customer makes a chain. Right? There is a chain of activities which are undertaken to deliver the final product or service to the customer, and these are known as, these set of activities comprise a value chain. Now, why do we call it a value chain? We call it a value chain because at every step, at every point, value is delivered to the customer, or value keeps on increasing in the product or service, right? How does it happen? Now, this is a value chain for a typical manufacturing organization. So, let us say any automobile industry or any company which is into the manufacture of televisions or maybe laptops, this can be a value chain for that company. So, this company is here. The company which we are talking about is into manufacturing of television, or it is into the manufacturing of cars, and what is happening? There are raw materials which it gets from the suppliers, then there are certain processing of the raw material takes place, intermediate goods are procured, then they reach the manufacturer transforms them into finished product, then marketing, sales and takes place through the distributor, retailer, and then there is after sales service. These all activities are very important. Now, that is why Porter called it a value chain, because at every step value is being given to the customer or value for the product is increasing. Now, for example, if I have to buy a laptop and the supplier says these are the raw materials you can take home and your this makes up your laptop, so that this is it. Will I buy that product? I will not buy that product, because I'll say what will I do with these parts and raw material? I want a finished product. So, what is the difference from the raw material to the finished product? The product has been made valuable to me through these steps. It has been made value, so that I pay X amount of money, otherwise for raw materials I will not pay a single penny, right. So, I will pay the required amount of money only when this product is able to be delivered some value to me, or the desired value to me. So, now for example, if an organization which is into manufacturing of the laptops also goes into the business of intermediate products. It starts an assembly plant, or it starts a plant, or it installs a machine where the raw material can be processed into intermediate goods. What is happening? It has kind of combined these two activities in the value chain. It was earlier it was doing only this, now it has started doing this also. So, what is happening? Integration. Two activities have been combined together. Or if a manufacturer also starts, suppose there are no intermediate products, or even if there is an intermediate product, the manufacturer also moves into the business of raw materials. It also moves into the business of raw materials, then in that case it has combined two activities into its existing business. This is also known as integration, right. So, for example, there is a sugar mill, right. Now, the raw material is sugarcane, we all know, right. Now, this company acquires an agriculture field. Earlier it was getting sugarcane from different suppliers or different farmers. Now, it says I should not be dependent on anybody else and I should get things on my own. So, what it does? It acquires agriculture fields, it starts growing sugar canes and it starts getting its own raw material. What it has did? It has not eliminated supplies. You cannot work without raw materials, but it has started working on the supplies or the raw material on its own. So, it has kind of integrated certain activities in the value chain with its own activity. Now, a firm may move up or down the value chain to focus more comprehensively on the needs of the existing customers. Now, this is very important. This movement can be up, you can see the value chain is moving down, from the arrows you can see the value chain moves like this, and here the customer end will be there. Customer will be here, because marketing and sales will take place and the customer will pick the product, he will buy the product, and after sales service is also important, because when we go to the shop we want to find out कि अगर product खराब हो गया, if something happens to the product, what will I do? So, the salesperson informs you that the after sales service will be taken care of by the company. Now, you are satisfied. So, after sales is also an activity which gives value to the customer. It makes the product more valuable to the customer. So, this integration of activities can take this way or that way through the value chain, right. So, we will discuss how it takes place in the next slide. Now, this expansion through integration can be of two types: horizontal integration and vertical integration. Now, horizontal integration, as you can the name suggests, it goes like this in a straight line. It goes in a straight line, right. So, and vertical integration, it goes like this, right. So, I hope this concept of horizontal and vertical difference between the two in terms of a general terminology is clear to you, right. Now, how it applies to the value chain and how it applies to integration, we will discuss. Now, when we talk about horizontal integration, as I said, if you are moving in a straight line, if you are integrating things in a straight line, then it is horizontal integration. Now, how does that take place? Horizontal integration. Now, for example, a firm is at a particular level in the value chain, right. For example, in the last slide we had discussed the firm is at the manufacturing level, you know, it is the manufacturer of a certain product. Now, if it, you know, acquires different manufacturers and then it, you know, integrates together, then that is known as a horizontal integration. Now, that means it will remain in the same industry. It is a single industry strategy, the addition of other business activities at the same level in the value chain. So, often includes the practice of acquiring and or merging other businesses within the same industry to achieve organizational objectives. Now, how does this take place? You know, in for example, if you remember in April 2017, a very big horizontal integration took place in the banking industry, wherein, you know, certain banks were merged into the State Bank of India, the State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Patiala, Mahila Bank. These are the 6 banks which were integrated into the SBI. These banks were totally at the horizontal level with SBI. They were doing the same activities which SBI was doing, only their names were different, right. Their management setup was different. So, now they were integrated with the SBI. So, what type of integration? Business is not different, they are all at the same level. So, this is a horizontal integration which took place. Similarly, you know, Aditya Birla Group and Larsen and Toubro integrated together. They were both into cement industry, they both integrated with each other and they formed a new company which is called as Ultratech Cement. So, this is again a horizontal integration. And then we have vertical integration. As I told you that vertical integration does not occur at the same level, it occurs in a perpendicular line. So, a strategy that companies use to gain control over their industry's value chain, right. So, it is of 2 types, backward integration, or which is also known as upstream integration, and forward integration or downstream integration. Now, backward vertical integration will, how will it occur? When a company owns some of the subsidiaries that produce some of the inputs used in the production of products. So, this is the value chain of a company which we had already discussed. What will happen? Manufacturer moving into raw materials, manufacturer moving into intermediate products. So, this is backward integration, backward vertical integration. And the second is forward vertical integration, when a company owns the subsidiaries that market the product. So, there is a manufacturer, he moves into the marketing and sales of the company or of the product. And the last I would like to show you that this is integration in automotive industry, this is integration in oil industry. You can see, for example, a company like Hyundai, it is the spelling is a little wrong here. Hyundai is there in the assembly also, components, exporting, importing, it is there into marketing and sales also. Similarly, other companies also you can see, so they have kind of integrated their value chain. Here you can see in the oil industry, almost all companies are there starting from exploration to marketing and sales. So, this is how vertical integration takes place. I hope you have understood the concept. Thank you so much.